Now we have to choose by hand which group of faces we want to destroy. We'll use the quick explode effect for this kind of simulation. This is an explosion created by a particle system. Basically, I'm going to pick the faces I want to explode, and then use the quick explode effect. But we have to do this effect step by step. I mean, we don't have to destroy the whole part of the building at once. We only need to blow up the part of the building that collides with the spaceship. So, we have to select a group of faces in each frame, and explode them one at a time. Let's go to the first frame, where the spaceship hits the building. Change to edit mode, and hide the spaceship, so it's easier to choose the faces we want. You can get to the brush selection mode by pressing the C key. Make sure that the selection mode is set to faces. The problem is that right now there aren't many faces to choose from. So, as a first step, I'll divide the faces into smaller parts. We can do that in different ways. We can right-click on the faces and choose Subdivide. But the subdivide operation doesn't work in this case. This is because of how this face is built. We can still divide using other commands, like poke faces or triangulate. Then we can break it down further to get more details. For the windows, we can use the poke faces to get something like when a glass breaks. Well, choose all the faces you want to divide, and subdivide them. You can also subdivide horizontally or vertically by pressing Ctrl and Arc to get to the loop cut mode. Turn the middle mouse wheel to increase the number of subdivisions. For the columns, you can do the same thing. Now you can finally choose the faces near the spaceship that must explode. You can temporarily hide the faces you've chosen by pressing the H key. And you can add more faces to the selection by pressing the Shift key. By pressing Alt and H, you can show all the selected faces. Now press the P key to separate the selection into a new object. Then, move forward one frame and do the same thing with the next faces. So, we have separate objects that can explode at different times in different frames. Now you can go forward on your own by moving to the next frames and choosing the faces that hit the spaceship. Before we move on, I want to make the spaceship move in a more realistic way. As you can see in my animation, the spaceship wobbles a little because the engine isn't working right. So, let's figure out how to simulate this. We could do that by hand with keyframes, but that's not the best way to do it. We can do that automatically by using a modifier. Open the graph editor and choose the empty object. Go back to the first frame and add a keyframe for rotation. Remember that you can do that by pressing the I key and choosing Rotation from the menu that comes up. Now I want to add some random movement along the x-axis. So, in the left panel, choose the x-axis and open the Modifiers tab on the right. Choose Built-in Function here. You can keep the sine function as it is. This means that you are applying a predefined function to the property you chose. In this case, it is the rotation along the x-axis. Now we have to change the parameters so that the result is more realistic. I'm going to lower the amplitude and phase multiplier parameters until I get something like this. This is not enough though. The rotation is too smooth and symmetrical. I want to add some noise and variety. To do that, we can add the noise function. We can combine this function with the last one. As usual, I have to change the parameters, in this case the scale and strength. So, we kept the original sine function, and added some random noise on top of that. After making some changes, I decided to add the noise function in the replace mode, and this is the result. It looks more random and natural. You can use this method whenever you want an object's property to change automatically.